So I got lights-ish, just something I found on Amazon. And now you can actually see how pale I am IRL, and my glasses are like the beacon of the lighthouse. So I haven't decided if this is better or not. There's also some sort of an alarm going off outside, and it's been going off for around the last 10 minutes. I have no idea what it is. And Stella's eating plastic wrap. So my life is falling apart. Okay, so glasses beacon in the night aside, welcome to episode 25 of Make Things Club, where everything's made up and the points don't matter. I'm having a rough day. This month has been stupid busy at work. I had 28 meetings with people on my caseload, and I was gone for the first week and a half, and then every other weekend I was in Jasper with my fiance. So trying to fit 28 one-hour meetings where people are typically only available during the same set times every day, and I don't work the same set times every day. So it's just been a nightmare. I'm feeling a little burnt out, and basically figured I could spend the rest of my evening crying in the bathtub, or I could podcast. And I'm not gonna lie, the crying in the bathtub thing was very, very tempting. The only other reason why I'm actually doing this is because I was late last week, and because if I talk to you guys now and I spend the time editing now, and that's, I hate to say it, but this week, it's just one less thing off my to-do list this weekend. I was busy like every weekend this month. So normal adulting things like having clean clothes that are ironed or ready and presentable to wear, having food in the house that you can actually create a meal with, not having a pile of things everywhere that I'm tripping over. Basic things like that have not been done, and therefore my threshold for anything is pretty low. So if the glass reflection bothers you, I'm really sorry at this point. We're just gonna go with it. So, hi! My name is Sarah, and I am the host of this podcast, and I believe it's episode 25. Once again, I didn't look, but I'm not gonna lie to you and tell you that I'm just winging it, because if we're gonna be honest, more often than not, the last couple episodes have just been winging it, and maybe that's just my thing. Who knows? So it is Thursday, October 27th. It's Thursday. I never record on Thursday, but got some time. Ross is not home tonight, so I figured I would take over the living room and try out these lights, which I'm not sure about yet, and just see how it goes. So I live in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, with my fiance and my 2 cats. I want to give Lucy, my other cat, who is never on the podcast, a shout out. She turned 2 yesterday, so happy birthday, Lulu. We don't celebrate my cats' birthdays on their actual day of birth because they were strays and rescues, and nobody knows what that day actually is. We kind of celebrate the day that they were adopted. So yesterday, 2 years ago, we brought Lucy home. My older brother, who is a train engineer for Canadian Rail, or CN, Canadian, whatever that stands for. He found her in a bunkhouse. She was really skinny and little and had some abrasions on her nose, and now she's begging me for food because it's a little over 5 o'clock, and we typically give them their wet food at 6. So if you hear witching hour, crazy running around, begging kind of things, it's because it's almost dinner time and they want theirs. Yeah, I would just like to give out a shout out to all of the new people that have been subscribing, so thank you so much. Welcome to my disorganized, ridiculous life. I would like to do a 500 subscriber giveaway, and as of the last time I looked, I think I was at about 461, so that's crazy. So thank you guys for checking me out and sticking around. I really appreciate it. If this is your first time viewing my podcast, hello, welcome. yeah, but I want to do a 500 subscriber giveaway, and I will try and figure out what that would look like. So I have a couple bags from Kim, who was gracious enough to give me a pile of them, from Kim, who is Ginger Snap that one. She's got, I believe her Etsy shop is gingersnap.etsy.com. I could be wrong. And once again, I didn't do any prep, so I'll put it in the place for you guys, or I can never figure out which side it's actually on. But I have a couple Notions pouches. I also have a couple other things I have been hoarding to give away. So I want to do a 500 subscriber giveaway. And I guess I got a little bit of time to prep for that because I'm not quite there yet. I also want to start a Cal. But like everything in my life, I've got lots of good intentions and then no physical energy to do any sort of prep, planning, or getting things together. So that is something that I will be putting together at some point as well, because I do have another prize that was donated to me by Joanne, who is Port Hardy 1 on Instagram. So I am thinking about getting something together, with it being Christmas soon. I also want to do, this is another thing I should have prepped, but here we go. I want to do a Christmas card swap. So this is something that I'm stealing from Charlotte, from the Charlotte and Gus podcast. She had done a postcard swap a few months ago, and the premise was to send a postcard in the mail, which would make it nice and pretty accessibly cheap for most people, because a stamp and tiny little package is pretty easy to afford. But on the postcard there was a mini wrapped around it, and I would like to do the same thing. So I haven't talked to her or asked her or anything, but Charlotte, I want to steal your idea and do a holiday card swap with a mini attached to it. So the premise would be, and this is because I left this to the last moment and was sitting in my office the other day just kind of going, I don't want to do any more work. What can I actually think about that has nothing to do with my job? And the postcard thing came into my head. So I would really like to do a holiday swap, and I'm going to start a Ravelry thread where if you want to join in and send a holiday card to somebody, ideally that would be entered real quick, because it is almost November, and November is fairly close to Christmas. So I'm gonna leave a Ravelry thread open for the next maybe week or two at the absolute most. And if you'd like to do a swap, just put your name in and I'll close the thread at a certain time and get you guys partners, and you can send a holiday card. If you don't celebrate Christmas, you can always kind of put that in the thread, saying I actually celebrate this, and the holiday that you'd prefer to celebrate, so that maybe people who are matched up with other faiths or people that don't quite celebrate Christmas as they do could tailor their card towards that. So I'm going to open up a thread, and the only requirement is to send a card and maybe write a nice little note in there, and then a mini to wrap the mini around. So ideally 5 to 10 grams of yarn. It could be Christmas themed if you want, or it could just be something that you've seen the other people enjoy in their projects, or colors that you think your partner might like. So once again, if you would like to join this, please go to my Ravelry group. It is the Make Things Club group on Ravelry. If you go to the groups tab and just search that, you should find it no problem. And I'll leave that thread up. Today's Thursday, next week is Friday. So maybe until the 10th, November 10th, and then I'll close it. And then by the weekend, I'll have everyone's partners, and then you can send them a message. Yeah, send them a message letting them know that you have a partner, and then get the address from them. Charlotte also did a thing where your partner wasn't necessarily the person that you were receiving a card from. I haven't decided if I'll do that. So basically the only thing that you guys need to worry about, if you want a holiday card swap participation, go to the group thread and sign up that way. I'll leave the thread open until November 10th. And after that, I will have partners for you, and ideally you'd have a card in the mail soon after that. So it's a pretty low, I don't want to say participation, it's a low commitment kind of swap that I would like to do. So information will be on the Ravelry group. I won't lie to you and say that it'll be in my show notes, because I still have not done show notes for the last 2 episodes, even though I said I would. So I'm really sorry about that. Anyways, I didn't introduce myself on the social medias. So you can find me basically anywhere that there's a login as Loose Pages. That's Instagram, Pinterest, Reddit, Twitter. That's pretty much that's things that I have sign-in names for. I'm most active on Instagram, so if you want to follow along on my journeys there, you'll see lots of cats. That's basically the standard. On Ravelry, though, my login name is Romperlust, and that's basically it. So into some of the stuff that I was going to talk about. So I did keep a couple notes because there were some stuff that happened over the last little bit that I wanted to keep track on, and apparently my iPad's not signed into iCloud, so that's convenient. There. So, yeah. Since the last episode, it feels like it was forever ago when it was in actuality 3 weeks. This month, like I said, has been stupid busy. Work has been crazy. Real life stuff has been pushed to the side, so I just feel like I'm behind on everything. But a couple weeks ago, I was one of the people selected as the Sucra Miniatures brand reps. And that's a pretty cool thing. So you've probably heard about it from a lot of people. I did post a couple things on Instagram, but I just wanted to spend a couple minutes explaining what this is and how you can benefit from it. So Chelsea of Sucra Miniatures, who you are probably very familiar with because she does amazing work and she's got amazing products, and my cat's sitting there and I just scared the heck out of her. She makes these gorgeous little food miniatures, and I can show my donut that I show every time. So she makes these really pretty little miniatures, and she's got tons of different things. She does seasonal stuff. Right now is Halloween, so she's got a couple Halloween things. But a lot of people use them as progress keepers. She also does necklaces and earrings, basically anything. So if you're kind of like me and you like your donuts loud and proud, she's great to check out. She launched her own website, so I know that she used to have an Etsy store. So if you're unfamiliar with her website, it's www.sucraminiatures.com. And she's expanding her brand, so she was hoping for a little bit of help promoting herself, and at this point the knitting community is pretty good for that. So I was selected as a brand rep, and what that means is that I get to rep her brand basically. And what that means for you is that if you've never made a purchase from her, I do have a referral code that you can use to get 15% off. All of this information is in my Ravelry group as well, so if you're looking for the code, I don't have that offhand, but if you go to my group, you can find the thread that I have for this. The premise is if you've never made a purchase, I have a referral code, which is like a website. But if you have made a purchase and you still want to benefit with 15% off, I do have a coupon code that you can use to get 15% off your order at checkout. So yeah, it's pretty cool. It's also exciting to be part of the rep group with a couple other people that I really enjoy watching podcasts of. So it really feels like a nice team to be a part of, and I've got some cool stuff from her coming in the mail that I can't wait to show you guys. So that's a thing. If you have any questions about it, you can also ask me. I'm definitely not like pushing anybody to purchase or anything like that, but if you've always kind of wanted to give her products a try, but you needed an incentive, maybe 15% off would be a good incentive for you. Another thing is that the Canada Cal ended, and I actually won the grand prize. So it came in the mail yesterday, and I wanted to do a quick little show off because this is the first thing I've ever won. Like, I've never won anything before, and this is definitely really exciting, something to win. So the grand prize was a skein of Caterpillar Greens, which is a self-striping merino twist fingering classic striping self-striping sock yarn, and this is the April Showers colorway, so it's pretty cool. I have never owned a skein of self-striping sock yarn from Caterpillar Greens. I bought their shawl, self-striping shawl yarn last year. They were the I can't talk today, I'm really sorry. They were the ones who dyed the custom colorway for Knit City 2015. So I have a skein of their self-striping shawl yarn, but this is the first skein of their sock yarn that I've had. And this is an 80-20 superwash merino wool, and it's really soft and squishy. So that was one of the prizes. Another one of the prizes was, oh no, and I'm gonna get in trouble here because I don't know if all of these were from the same store. So another one, Canada Cal. So I've got a needle cozy that has maple leaves all over it. Maple leaves. And that also came with a project, uh-oh, I dropped something. It also came with a project bag with moose on it. So this is really nice and plush. It's got some, no way. Okay, I don't know if you'll be able to see this, but there's text in the lining, and it's actually the Canadian anthem. That's incredible. So it's a pretty decent sized project bag. It's really nicely lined, it's nice and plush, and it's really soft. So I picked that up as well. So these two. And it also came with stitch markers. Stella just goes nuts whenever she hears crinkling. So there's some stitch markers, and it's got a little Canadian flag there. Canadian flag, maple leaf, my gosh. So those are super cute. And the card that came with it is yarn friendly. So I believe the stitch markers, project bag, and needle cozy came from her. So there's the shop info. So that's really exciting. So thank you. Selma also wrote me a nice little note, a thank you note. So I was really excited to see that I had won, because like I said, I'd never won anything before. And I was joking with my future sister-in-law Carla of the Relentless Knitting Company about how like I'm just in it to win it. And I didn't actually expect that to happen. So thank you to the ladies of the Two Tangled Skeins podcast. I really appreciate it. I'm super excited. It also came with a couple little tea bags as well that I can't wait to crack into. So thank you so much. That's kind of the main news stuff that I had to say. I guess I'll go on to the knitting things. I have a few actually finished objects this week. The first one is something that I finished before I had even put up the last podcast, and that's my antler hat, which is a free pattern on Ravelry by Tin Can Knits. And I knit this with the Studio Donegal yarn that I picked up in Vancouver. So, love it. I'm trying to find one of those stupid little green specks that I love so much. So this is done. It still smells like campfire because I wore it in Jasper last weekend. And I'm pretty happy with it. I've got a really stupid head. I feel like I could have maybe cast on a little bit smaller. But it fits okay. It doesn't slouch. I kind of wanted it to slouch, but I have, like I said, a stupid shaped head. So I've got like a little bit of cone head going on here. Not a problem. So I'll go to my Ravelry notes here because I did cast on the large size, I believe. I actually put it in my notes what I did because I didn't do the pattern. So I cast on the large size, and the large size says you should be doing 9 pattern repeats before you cast, or before you start the decreases. I actually did 7 pattern repeats before I started the decreases. And I've found this problem for myself quite regularly when it comes to knitting hats. Because of my stupid shaped head, I have a really wide circumference. So when I measure my head the way that I usually wear my hats, and maybe this is why I'm running into problems because I've never really taken the time to learn how to measure properly. I don't know if you're supposed to measure this way, but I measure this way. So if I measure this way, my head is 22.5 inches, and the pattern had the medium size for 21 and then the large size for 22. So I went with the large size, But because I have such a stupid shaped wide like head, I have always had problems keeping things on my head. So any kind of headband, any kind of like bandanas or anything that you would tie around your head, they kind of fall off because I have a really shallow head part. It probably has a name. But I have a really, really shallow kind of skull where nothing stays on. So because my head is quite like wide and then shallow, if I was to do all the pattern repeats or if I was to knit to length before doing decreases like pattern state, they're way too big and there's way too much slouch. There's a couple hats that I have that I never wear because of this problem that I should probably like rip out or, you know, make properly again. But I always end up doing less repeats than I should for hats, and it's starting to fit a little bit better. So that's definitely something that I'm happy about with this hat. I love the color. I wasn't going to pick this yarn up, but Caitlin, my sister-in-law, insisted that I do, and I'm really grateful that my cats, I don't know if you could have seen them, but they were up there in their cat tree like fighting to the death. But yeah, Caitlin insisted that I pick this yarn up, and I'm glad that I did. So that's one finished object. Now that my hair is going to be weird. Another finished object that I actually am not fond of is my camas hat. And this is also a free pattern on Ravelry by Corey Ellen Boberg. And I started this one with a different yarn. I was using House of Alamode in the DK base, the gangster colorway, and that reminded me of like an oil spill on a puddle or something. So it was gray with little pops of, I'll just go get it. I started it with this hat with this yarn, but I didn't like how it was pooling. It doesn't look too bad now, but you got a lot of pooling happening right here and then nothing. So I ended up just not finishing it, and I haven't frogged it yet. So it's like a headband. So I pulled this off the needles, wasn't happy with it, and figured that I would do the yarn that I had originally thought of for this project, which is my Haven yarn in the Wild Meadow colorway. I had tried making a swoon hat with this and ended up not liking it, so I frogged it. And then I tried making this pattern, and this yarn just doesn't want to be a hat, and I don't know what to do with it. So this is the hat. It's really, really not slouchy at all. I haven't even bothered weaving in any of the ends because I'm probably going to rip this out, I'm not going to lie. So there's no slouch. This needs slouch. It looks okay from the front, but from the side, I'm not happy with it. So I should have done a whole other repeat of the lace pattern. Super not happy with this. It's a pretty pattern, and I don't know if maybe it's just because I didn't do a gauge swatch and my gauge is not where it should be, or if it's just because me and hats lately, we are not friends. But this is what the pattern looks like. So there's some zigzags and a little lace pattern, and I actually really like the decreases. I think that's super pretty. But if you look at the picture on Ravelry, there's slouch in it, and this has zero slouch. So I'm a thumbs down on it. I really feel bad ripping out this yarn again, but what can you do? So once again, that was the Camas hat by Corey Ellen Boberg, which is a free pattern on Ravelry. It's really cute, but this just, if it was slouchier, I'd be really happy with it. So maybe what I'll do is rip out all the decreases and I'll repeat the pattern twice. It's a 22 row repeat, I believe. Yeah, so that's a possibility. I would like to eventually find something to wear with it or to use this for because it's so pretty. I really love this yarn, but it's having an identity crisis, and I don't want to force it to be something that it doesn't want to. So there's that for my second FO. And my third FO is my blanket. I'm done. You guys, I started this on May 5th, 2015, and I cast it off on Sunday, so that would have been the 22nd, 23rd? We had just gotten back from Jasper, which I'll talk about later because it was a riot, and I finished it. So I was working really, really hard last week to get this thing finished, and Ross had left for Jasper on Wednesday, and I had Wednesday and Thursday night by myself, and I was motoring on Thursday. I wanted to get this blanket done. I wanted to have it woven in and washed and everything, but then the stupid needles that I was using broke. So the needles that I was using are the ones that you can pick up at Michael's. I think they're Boy. The plastic needles, because they were 15 millimeter. The cord came out, and because they're not interchangeables, they're circulars, and the cord had come out last year when I was doing this. I E6000 those together, had no problems. Thursday, when I had 6 rows of this damn blanket left, the cord came out again. So this time I used liquid cement, because I am not messing around anymore. And I let those things sit, and I didn't want to use them for 24 hours. So I glued the needles back together, I put it away, and essentially could not work on them because the next day at 10 in the morning I ended up leaving for the mountains as well. But when we got back, I motored through. I started watching Skin Wars on Netflix. I don't know if you've heard of this show. One of the kids on my caseload who really likes art and wants to be a designer recommended it. And it's basically just people drawing and painting on bodies. So it's like, hold on. Boop, 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 boop. Okay, there we go. That's better. It's basically people, it's body painting. So body painting competition. That's all I can say. So one of the kids on my caseload was talking about it, and I figured I'd check it out. And it's so awful, but I can't stop watching it. So basically it's just like all these mostly naked women getting painted on. And at the very end of the episode, when people get eliminated, Rebecca Romaine, who is the host, will be like, "Artists, it's time to wash off your canvas." And it's like, the artists aren't washing off their canvas because their bodies, it's not like the artist is going to go in there and soap people up. But the models are like behind this glass wall that has strategic etching where like the body parts would be, and like it just shows them showering. It's so weird. It's really strange. And I was talking about this with my coworker that I recently discovered all the reality TV shows on Netflix, and they're awful, but it's easy to watch when you're knitting. So anyways, while binge watching Skin Wars, I finished my blanket, and it's really big, so it's hard to show. So this is the first color that I did. There's the second color that I did. Here's the third color that I did. And the orange. And then the really, really dark navy part. So, like I said, I was really dumb and decided to arbitrarily knit 19 garter rows for each color. This isn't even really wool, it's the acrylic stuff from Michael's, the Impeccable yarn, Loops Impeccable. It's still really soft, it's really squishy. I couldn't sleep last night, so I was laying on the couch reading the rest of Amy Poehler's Yes Please, which I finished as well. And it was actually really nice and warm, and I'm happy that I'm done this. It was a marathon, but I am very happy to be done. So this is out of the way. I am done. I also finished it for the yarn or cat from Yarn 30's Graveyard Cow. So that was another thing that I finished along with those Rose City rollers that I had done. So I'm quite happy that I had the main thing. It's done. Let's just say that. So in terms of works in progress, now that my blanket's everywhere, I just wanted to update you on the Pine Bough Cowl saga. Here is where I was the last time we podcasted. Whoop whoop. Here's where I am now. This isn't where, oh no. I don't have my stoppers on, which is dangerous. But yeah, I've almost completed half of a section. I'm just finishing up the first chart repeats, which gives you this side. I have one of these to go, more of these lines, but I'm getting closer to the end. I'm over 50% at this point. I also had a fuck it, it's fine moment. And if you're not familiar with fuck it, it's fine, that's Shannon from the Socksetter podcast. This is my, you know what, just whatever, I'm not gonna worry about it moment. I knit one extra row of the green. So these are all 2 rows. That doesn't count. So 2 rows of green, 3 rows of green, and then 2 rows of green. The only reason why I didn't go back was because A, this takes forever to knit, and B, when this is all finished and it's pulled together, this is in the middle. I had another moment with something else last time. There was another project where I had screwed something up, but it was in the middle. Oh, my Good Vibes shawl. I had an extra row of stockinette, but it was in one of the middle row sections. So I was like, it's like a line of symmetry. So I think if mistakes like this happen in the middle, I am less likely to care about them. But either way, fuck it, it's fine. No big deal. I'm getting closer to the end of this, which is good because it's starting to get really cold outside, and this will be really nice to wear around my neck. Yeah, I like it. So that's the update here. I'm gonna move this guy up, and next time, hopefully there will be more progress to this scale. That. And I also started a new project because why not? So I had cast this on last weekend while I was in Jasper. I posted a picture on Instagram. We were sitting at the Jasper pizza place and having like a beer and meeting with people on Friday night. So I cast this on then and ended up having to rip it out. So I ripped it out on Monday, I believe. Monday? No, Tuesday. Ripped it out on Tuesday because I came home early from work with a headache. Because I had made some sort of mistake on the middle edge and wasn't getting the right stitch count, and I was trying to fudge it, but every single time I went back, I was still getting the wrong stitch count, so fudging it clearly wasn't working. So I decided to rip it all out and up my needle size. So this is a pattern, I guess I should tell you what it is, but it's the Thalia shawl by Andrea Mowry. And this is a paid pattern on Ravelry. But I went up, the pattern calls for a 4.0 millimeter needles, which I believe is US size 6. I went up to a 4.5, which is a US 7. And I'm a lot happier with it. I like big shawls and I cannot lie. And the other one would have been a lot smaller than I was anticipating because I was nowhere near gauge. So anyways, without further ado, here it is so far. I am using yarn that I picked up at Knit City. So another reason why I'm really excited about this is Jenny from the Lone Larch podcast is having a Knit City hangover cal where you knit something with the yarn that you purchased at Knit City, or if you haven't gone to Knit City, any sort of fiber festival, just to keep everybody included. So this gets entered. I've already entered this one. And then this yarn I also picked up at Knit City as well. Elise was actually with me when I bought it, and she helped me find the right one because while I was standing waiting to pay, I was like, hey, what dye lot is this? Because they were completely different. So I'm using Ancient Arts. I think that they changed the name of this yarn to Passion 8, I think. Either way, it's 8-ply heavy cable, or cable heavy fingering sport weight. And it is 80/20 superwash merino nylon. So this is what I'm using as the main color. And this is the Pieces of 8 colorway. Love this. It's actually really springy and squishy and just generally wonderful. So this is going to be the main body of the shawl. And then if you remember from our Yarngasm episode last time, this is going to be the contrast edging and the tassels. And this is the Russian silver blue colorway. So yeah, I'm working on that. I just finished, I think I'm starting the 5th section of chevrons right now. And I really like how tonal this yarn is. I'm really into neutrals lately. I'm gonna probably wear the heck out of this when it's done. So it's all chevrons, baby. Lots of chevrons. And this is the first pattern from Andrea Mowry that I actually have knit. I own a couple of her patterns. I was really overwhelmed by the way the pattern was written. Everything is written out. There's no charts or anything like that. And it was a little overwhelming at first when I was like, this is a lot to read and remember and then knit. But once you kind of get going, it is pretty instinctual and it's not so hard to kind of just go off pattern a little bit. So if you're like me and you're overstimulated by things, generally, don't get turned off by her patterns, because while it seems like a lot and the lines are really long for the patterns, you get used to it pretty quick. So yeah, I'm quite happy with this. I also took my piece of cake stitch progress keeper off of my other project that this was living on, because I'm going to rip that thing out pretty quick. So yeah, really happy. And I'm using my Haya sharps, my interchangeable set. So that's the main thing that I'm working on right now. In terms of other whips, I've been knocking them out of the park lately, so I don't really have anything else that I'm working on, which is crazy. So, yay. In terms of stash enhancement, I do have a couple things. So besides my Two Tangles Games haul, I did pick up a couple things, mostly because Ross, my fiance, has been doing a lot of speaking engagements. He is applying to be an astronaut with the Canadian Space Agency, and his application went in on August 15th. He is still in the running. A lot of the people that we know between us have been eliminated so far, so the fact that he's still in is crazy. And there are currently about 1,700 other applications. So he's been doing a lot of speaking engagements because of this. He's been interviewed on the news a couple times. But with the Jasper Dark Sky Festival, which is why we were in Jasper for the last 2 weeks, it's been really exciting for him because he was asked to replace Phil Plait, who is the bad astronomer. He was asked to replace Phil Plait on a panel that Phil Plait could no longer attend because he was filming with Bill Nye for his science show. So the first weekend that we were there, we saw Bill Nye talk, and that was crazy cool, except for the fact that driving out was terrifying. Like, we had a freak blizzard snowstorm, so whatever like typhoon remnants hit Vancouver, when it came over the mountains, it got really ugly. So it was really icy. The weather was awful. It blizzarded outside. People were stuck. Traffic was awful. It took us an hour and a half to get out of the city. I cried. I literally had this feeling like I was going to die that day. So it was not an enjoyable, it wasn't an enjoyable time for me. I get really anxious on road trips. And we're supposed to be driving to Kelowna in December for Christmas. And if it's anything like what that Friday was, I'm going to be heavily medicated in the back seat because I literally had the anxiety of dying that day. It was awful. I felt awful. And then the next day I was like complete like emotional hangover. It was awful. So yeah, the first weekend we went out to see Bill Nye. The second weekend we went out to see George Takei. And that was really cool. And then the other days we did, it's a dark sky festival, so Jasper is a dark sky reserve, which means there's no lights, so it's a good place to go and see the stars, and we saw some amazing views of the Milky Way that night, and Ross did a little campfire presentation, and then the next day he was on a panel and did a little bit of a talk, and then we drank with like crazy scientists, and it was so much fun. I had so much fun that night. Anyways, back to the subject that I was getting into. Ross was asked to speak at a elementary school in Beaumont, which is not too far from Edmonton. It's like a 20-minute drive. But who lives in Beaumont? Jess from Haven Yarns. So with Ross going there, I arranged with her that he would pick up some yarn for me. So I bought a couple skeins. The first one is duh, like come on. So this is her Halloween skein. It's the Goblin Queen. And like, look at this. As soon as she released it, I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna need this. So because she was only gonna dye so much and she was kind of hinting that she was gonna be finished with this after the next update, I had to get one. I do not know what I'm gonna do with this, but it's crazy. So I had to pick this up, of course. And then the second skein that I got was her Book Boyfriend, which I've always loved and I've looked at many times and figured why the hell not. So this, I'm actually thinking of making a pair of monkey socks I've never made a pair of patterned socks before, and Carla has been knitting for Socktober a couple patterned socks, so maybe patterned socks would be more fun. So I'm going to turn these into a pair of monkey socks, which is a paid pattern by Cookie A. However, my public library is really awesome. So I got her Knit Sock Love book from the library. There's a bunch of patterns in here. I'm going to try and bang out a pair of monkey socks. So that was the stash enhancement that I had until today. On my way back from a work meeting, which was downtown Edmonton, it's been really wonderful lately, like misty and rainy, and it kind of makes me miss Vancouver, because usually we don't get rain like this. It usually just decides to snow. So I've been really enjoying all the rain lately. So on the drive back to my office from downtown, I was going pretty close to where Made Local is. And I haven't seen their space since they became the Made Local Society. So there is a project in Edmonton called the Alberta Yarn Project. It's run by 4 wonderful women who are mostly named Allison or Anna. And today I ran into Anna Davidson, who was there. But they basically started a shop, and they're like a legit little yarn store. So I'll insert some videos that I took here. But I stopped into their store and was looking around and was pretty impressed with what they've done with the place since the last time I was there. They are now officially carrying Haya needles. So if you're in Edmonton and you're not really excited about using Addies, but you don't want to order anything online, please be aware that the Alberta Yarn Project, which is now the Made Local Society, does carry Haya needles. And they had 9-inch circs, they had interchangeable sets, they had a lot of different things there. So definitely check them out if you want. But they also are carrying a nice selection of yarn. And as the project is aptly named, the Alberta Yarn Project, they're typically only carrying yarns that are produced, farmed, dyed, whatever, in Alberta. And I had to pick up a skein while I was there. So I picked this guy up, and this is from the Wacky Windmill, and Kim Ward is the owner. And I believe, if I remember correctly, that she's in Lethbridge. But anyways, I was feeling kind of bad because a lot of the yarn that I picked up at Knit City was tonal or neutral, and I was kind of like in love with this. It looks like cake, let's just get real. So I picked this up today. This is a Tough Stuff sock base. It's 75/25 superwash merino. There's 463 yards in here for 100 grams. And oh yeah, it does. It's called Tart and Tiny. So I picked this skein up. I'm really excited about it. This will probably end up being some socks as well, once I get onto that sock train. Another thing that I picked up in the mail, the last time we had podcast together, Caitlin and I were talking about Acme Fibers, and they were out of their large set of needles. So I had emailed Sherry, who is amazing, and asked her when she was expecting to get those in. And she sent me an email. As soon as the email was sent, I ordered them, and they came in the mail a couple days ago. So I now have all sizes of needles in the Haya Sharps. So, yay! These are the 4-inch tips, and all of my tips have been 4 inches. Pretty sweet. And each time that I had ordered, I don't think Caitlin got these, but each time that I placed an order, I got extra cables of 49, I have 49-inch cables. So I got another set of those. So hooray. I am now good for needles. One of my next projects that I would like to do, because I have the sock interchangeables and the small and the large set, I didn't get the case with the sock interchangeables, so they're just in envelopes. But I would like to make the ultimate needle case for all of these, where I can have all of the cords, all of the needle twister things, whatever they're called. Oh, they're not in there. Where I can have everything in a custom designed and hand sewed needle case. So that is something that I would really like to work on. These are awesome. I really like these sets. I really like Hayas. So one of my projects that I would like to work on is sewing a needle kit, needle cozy, whatever you want to call it, a needle case for something that would hold all of my needles at the same time. Other than that, I don't think I have anything else to talk about. I guess I'm done. Come here. Want to say hi? Hey, Beans. So basically, yeah, I spent the last 2 weeks in Jasper hanging out with scientists and nerds. It was awesome. And then this weekend, I am doing absolutely nothing. I have a friend who has a baby shower on Saturday, but I think I'm going to stay home. Not that I don't want to go and hang out with her and her wonderful little baby boy, who is adorable, but I really just kind of need a catch-up weekend. So I'm going for a massage on Saturday, and then my mom is coming over because I'm spiraling out of control, and she's really good at reining me in. So she's going to come over and help me clean my place because she loves me. So that's happening, and then on Sunday, I'm not doing anything. I'm doing laundry. I'm not even doing Halloween stuff, you guys. I don't have a costume. I'm not going anywhere. You want this? She wants this. Yeah, but I'm not going anywhere or doing anything. I'm basically spending the entire weekend playing catch up and getting ready to begin a new month. So, like I said before, if you would like to be part of the holiday card swap, please sign up in Ravelry. I'll have all the requirements and whatever in there. What's this? What's this? You're dumb. I'll have all the requirements and stuff in there, and you guys can sign up for that. I will leave the thread open until November 10th, and yeah, then I'll draw names. So if you'd like to be part of that, that's great. If you'd like to join our Ravelry group, there's 114 people in there that I was not expecting, so cool. Yeah, and if you'd like to follow along on Instagram or whatever, my username is loosepages, romperlust on Ravelry. I'm gonna go get something to eat and crack open some orange juice. So thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, thanks for hanging out with me, even though this wasn't actually that bad for winging it. I'm not going to make any promises about show notes, so if there's anything that you have questions about, just send me a message because I'm now super behind. So thanks for watching again, thanks for checking me out, and I hope that you guys have a wonderful, wonderful Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night, every night. And to those who are hardcore about it, happy Halloween. So, talk to you guys later. Bye!
From 10, I need your help. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, lift off! Oh no! Uh-oh! I see it! The parachute's out! Oh yeah! It's coming!